Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for hanging with me on this Thursday. So yesterday I did a video explaining when I go from a 3/8 ounce jig to a 1/2 ounce because of water warming up, more so just because I want to be efficient when I'm jig fishing. And when the water's cold, I really feel like you have to give that bait a good presentation. When it heats up and the fish are coming to the bank, fast is what I want. I want that jig to get to the bottom quickly, and I want to cover as much water as possible. So that 1/2 ounce, perfect size for that. But there are some situations where a 3/8 ounce jig I'm going to use year round. So when I think of like water willow, which is grass that grows in 2 feet of water, bass setup in that grass, you really don't want anything heavier than a 3/8 unless you're punching it through the grass or something like that. But a 3/8 for me, perfect size. If I'm fishing current, perfect size. And then you have these lakes that are drawn down in the wintertime. So before they get to their summer pool, the fish are not going to move up and spawn. So that is another situation where a 3/8 ounce jig is going to play, because a lot of times you're going to be fishing around steeper banks, which are typically chunk rocky type banks, and fishing a 1/2 ounce jig in that type of cover hangs up too much. Efficiency, again, is the key. So if I'm fishing riprap, any type of rock that's bigger than like a softball, it's really hard to get a 1/2 ounce jig to not hang in that. So a 3/8 is going to be something that I fish a lot. And a 3/8, you can fish it out deeper. You just have to move it really slow. So if I have fish that are relating to the bank but are still out in deep water, and I need a bait that is not going to hang, I'm going to go to a 3/8, and I'm going to go to one that has a big salty on it, because I feel like I'm not necessarily letting that bait hit the bottom for very long. I'm almost swimming it. Or even if I'm fishing deeper than, let's say, like 10 feet, I'm not even really moving it. I'm just keeping that line tight and letting the momentum of the boat pull me back a little bit where the jig is actually going to be moving. So if you're stroking it or moving it, that's going to be pulling it off the bottom too much. You really want that bait to be close to the bottom, but not hanging the bottom, and too much action with your rod is going to yank that bait way too far off the bottom, and it's going to take too long to get back down. So just barely feeling it is enough to keep that bait moving. Now I'm going to give you a couple different trailers, because yesterday I talked about the 1/2 ounce, perfect when that water gets above 55 degrees, and the appendages are perfect for water that's warmer than 55 degrees. So it's a perfect mix, because this bait falls fast enough to get those appendages to kick, and you also want that rate of fall. Now, when we go back to the 3/8, I don't necessarily want that rate of fall, and a 3/8 ounce jig typically doesn't fall fast enough to get those appendages to do anything. Unless you're stroking it way off the bottom or something, you're not really moving any water with those appendages anyway. So 3/8 for me, in the situations that I'm talking about using it, it's going to be a big salty almost all the time, or some variation of that, like a super chunk junior, because I'm not always going to be fishing the full size 3/8 ounce jig. Sometimes I'm going to go down to my 3/8 ounce ball head. I'm going to go down to my 3/8 ounce tungsten. As long as the bank isn't too steep, those type jigs are perfect when you're fishing around that chunk rocky pre-spawn type cover, where you're just going to be hanging it the entire time with a 1/2 ounce. So try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.